We've got Georgia, we got South Carolina. So for a number of years, of course, this was the game in the SEC Eastern Division during Spurrier's near his last season there at South Carolina. Of course, the Gamecocks getting off the deck with Will Muschamp on the sidelines, and if for a program like South Carolina, Mike, if they can win the games that they're supposed to, this not being one, but they're winning most of the games that they're supposed to with Will Muschamp and rebuilding at the same time, then that's a win-win for them. Georgia, of course, now has lost 2 games in conference, lost the big one that they had right in their hands that they let slip away. So we got Georgia going to Columbia.
Yeah, Mark, the South Carolina offense has not looked good at all this season. Eked out a win against Vanderbilt and then lost to Kentucky. So you South Carolina fans have got to be wondering, is this what Will Muschamp brings to this team? It looks a lot like Florida minus the athletes that naturally gravitate to Florida. For Georgia, I think this is a very important game for Georgia. They built a little bit of momentum against Tennessee. Of course, they came off that Ole Miss loss. Ole Miss just crushed them. A lot of question marks in Athens. They were able to very quickly get things back together and look very good against the Tennessee team that was favored considerably after that second half against Florida, and Georgia had that game there at the end until the last 4 seconds. So, Georgia fans are kind of thinking, we got rid of Mark Richt. Look at what he's doing at Miami. Now we're early in the season through 5 games, and we've already got 2 losses. So we got rid of a guy who just all he did was win 10 games a season. Now we've already got 2 losses in the first 5 games. So I think it's very important for Georgia. I think Will Muschamp's still playing. He's got a little bit of patience and leeway in South Carolina. Early in his career there. Georgia, I think there's a lot more pressure when you fire a guy that just wins 10 games a year. You don't really have a lot of patience for rebuilding, particularly with a big name like Kirby Smart coming in. I think Georgia was able to get things back together. I look for them to roll against South Carolina. That offense is Jacob Eason's looking good at quarterback. The question mark with Georgia is still, why are they not able to run as effectively with all those great running backs in their backfield? So we'll see. I think Georgia puts things together. I think they really bounce back well from Ole Miss against Tennessee. I think they continue that. Again, this is another game where the weather is going to affect it. Maybe change the start time, maybe push it later. It will probably be a wet environment, which I think probably plays to South Carolina because it prevents the score from getting out of control. But again, I think Georgia handles it. I think Georgia's starting to find their rhythm after that Ole Miss game where they just didn't show up, find their rhythm against Tennessee. I think they come out and I think they handle business with South Carolina.